Welcome everyone to the June 27th City Council meeting. Welcome to everybody at home. It's probably cooler in here than it is outside right now, right? Okay, before we go into the actual items on our agenda, I want to say a few words about an employee who has supported the City Council for over 8 years and a city organization for over 27 years and who is retiring this week. Chris Block, would you please come to the front of the room and let me embarrass you terribly? Come.
Yes.
I want to thank you for your many years of service. Throughout her long tenure with Central Services, which began in February 1989, Chris has served as a minutes recorder, then as copier services coordinator, and finally as mayor and city council support coordinator. During her time in the city manager's office, Chris reviewed, edited, and produced over 720 council agendas and 400 council newsletters, listened to hundreds of hours of public testimony, coordinated dozens of regular and ad hoc recruitments for boards and commissions, and coiled thousands of miles of speaker, timer, and phone cords. She has been the friendly face you see at the information table and the behind-the-scenes employee who helps ensure that our meetings and meeting materials are of the highest quality. Chris's professionalism, hard work, commitment, humility, and integrity has resulted in strong and effective partnerships and lasting friendships. We're going to miss you. I know that people in the office are going to miss you terrifically, but wish you only the best in the future. Enjoy your family and your well-deserved retirement. Let's give her a hand. Stay right there.
You gotta pose, Chris.
Yeah, I didn't get my permission for that either.
So first up is a public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues except for those items which have already been heard by a hearings official or are on tonight's agenda as a public hearing. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. When you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, and for Eugene residents, your ward if known. The timer and lights indicate the time you have to speak. The red light indicates the end of 3 minutes. You will note I have my mic right up here because we've had a request that is hard to hear in the back of the room, so we'll all work on that. So we have 12 people signed up. First one up is Howard Saxon, and followed by Jim New.
Good evening. My name is Howard Saxon. I live in Eugene, Ward 8, and I am chair of the Sustainability Commission. And it's on behalf of the commission that I address you tonight. I had two versions of my talking points, so I'm glad I'm able to discard one of them. On behalf of the commission, the council is to be commended for moving forward on establishing climate recovery ordinance benchmarks and targets. It's critical that we as a city and a society reduce greenhouse gas emissions to achieve the 350 part per million goal. The longer we delay, the more difficult it will become to meet this goal. For the city to be successful, a robust public conversation and engagement program is critical for both CRO implementation, but also the update of the Community Energy Action Plan. And the Sustainability Commission looks forward to helping the council and the city manager and his staff achieve the CRO benchmark implementation plan, as well as updating the CAP. And so we look forward to being engaged in that process. And again, thank you for moving forward, and we'll see you, I guess, on July 27th.
Thank you very much. Next up is Jim New, followed by Lori Granger, who is organizer for the Raging Grannies.
Mayor and Council, Jim New, Ward 7. Thank you for your consideration in adopting the science-based 350 carbon budget goal, including its associated targets and benchmarks. The adoption of the 350 carbon budget makes Eugene CRO a unique science-based goal that should need no immediate future update. The Climate Energy Action Plan should be updated to reflect this 350 goal, with this process commencing as soon as possible and with as much community input as possible. The city should work with eWeb to achieve desired reduction goals in the electrical sector by helping the community transition from natural gas to electricity in residential and from gas vehicles to electric vehicles. To conclude, to quote climatologist Dr. James Hansen's book, Storm of My Grandchildren, there is little merit in casting blame for inaction unless it points towards a solution. If an alternative scenario is practical, has multiple benefits, and makes good common sense, why are we not doing it? Thank you.
Thank you. So Lori Granger's up next, followed by Patrice Dotson.
I'm Amy Raven, and we're in George Brown's district, and this is the Raging Grannies. We're going to present you with two songs. The first is the Granny Buffalo Song.
How much do we budget for the system that keeps fossil fuels in the ground? How much should we spend on our existence? We do hope the science is sound. The science is scary and it's tempting to pretend that we don't understand. The temperature rise is unrelenting, though we bury our heads in the sand. We meet and we make some resolutions, our plans we're intending to keep. But laws without funds are no solution, 'cause everyone knows talk is cheap. Our leaders must lead us to a future where all kids and grandkids can thrive. Without plans to save our ecosystem, how can our planet survive? How hard can it be to change our lifestyle compared to destroying our home? If we cannot be a little versatile, where will the buffalo roam?
Thank you.
Second song is our Children's Trust Anthem.
Parents and friends, we must earn back our children's trust and save the land. Our leaders must be brave, this is their chance to save our coastlines from the waves, the time's at hand. We must make promises, shun doubting Thomases, clean up the air. A dirty atmosphere kills all that we hold dear. We have a job that is quite clear, protect our air. Our children's lives depend on laws that will defend our planet's health. Let people gravitate to leaders who are great. Let everyone cooperate. It's life or death.
Thank you. Patrice Dotson is up next, followed by Joshua Scove.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Good.
I'm here this evening to thank the City Council members and the mayor. Though I rarely attend the public forum, I never miss it on TV. I no longer drive at night, so I watch from my living room. One big advantage to this is that I can yell or applaud or shake my fist without reprimand, and I do. I know in my heart that each of you has a positive intention to represent your constituency to the best of your ability. Sometimes it's hard to understand some of your decisions in light of all the public forum speakers who have implored you to decide otherwise. Sometimes I wonder if you even hear us out here crying for change. Sometimes I think there are some councilors who try very hard to break down barriers and others who put up fences, mostly, I think, out of fear. I wept the night so many spoke about keeping Kesey Square open. I think that some councilors regard it as an icon and others as an eyesore. But if you really listen to your speakers, not one advocated getting rid of Kesey Square. In my mind, that says clearly what the people want in their city. What is left is to see if the councilors hear and will respond. For so many years, many spoke up for the shelter for the homeless, places for them to sleep safely, places for them to relieve themselves and dump their trash. Many of the advocates just gave up, I guess, and I do not see them coming here any longer. Some progress has been made, but it has been painfully slow, so the homeless are left to fend for themselves as best they can. This is a sad commentary on how we treat our most vulnerable. I wish to thank George Brown, my counselor, for his very dedicated and responsible work. I especially admired the work you did investigating the Capstone Group. I went online to find out for myself how they operated in some of their undertakings and found it quite shocking. I was sorry that you lost that one, but I thank you for presenting the facts to the council. Also, I want to thank you for going to every piece of property that was proposed as a site for a homeless camp. Even though it went mostly nowhere, I appreciated your doing your due diligence and exploring the possibilities. You have been a great counselor, and I thank you. And to Mayor Piercy, thank you for your service and mostly for showing up everywhere to be a representative for our city. I have been amazed at your omnipresence, and I've always been proud to see you there representing us. I'm grateful for your service. So once again, thank you for your service. I look forward to seeing how Eugene evolves in the future based on your decisions.
Thank you. Joshua Scove is next, followed by Robin Bloomgarden.
Good evening, Joshua Scove, Ward 1. Thank you for your service, and as usual, hello to Aria and Jasmine watching at home. 3 quick points, a few thank yous related to the just approved Climate Recovery Ordinance Amendment, a comment on the future revision of the Climate and Energy Action Plan, and then a quick comment on urban renewal. I really appreciate the discussion, the depth of discussion that you all just had, and I just want to call out a few things, though there are more that I really appreciated. First of all, to Councilor Zelenka for the effort to affirm the ambitious but necessary goals and to put them in numbers. And I take note of your comment on the importance of our leadership far beyond our borders, which Mayor Piercy's recent trip to China, I think, demonstrates. Also to Councilor Syrett for pushing for a specific timeline. That may be relevant in other things that we're doing as well. I appreciate that. Also to Councilor Pryor for emphasizing that we're actually following through on things we say that we'll do. It's easy to have platitudes, but to have policies that we're really implementing is another deal. And finally, to Councilor Clark for the really important observation that we really have to make our menu options of climate action items something that's meaningful to people in terms of benefits and opportunities that they provide. And fortunately, there are huge opportunities for us to do that, but we have to bother to make those connections for a lot of people. On that note, I want to reemphasize the Mayor's important point about scenario planning and linking transportation and land use planning, one of those areas where we have big opportunities. Second, regarding a future update to the Climate and Energy Action Plan, which we will eventually need. This has been around for a long time. First of all, the importance of public involvement. I know as a professional dealing with the technical aspects of climate change and as a part-time instructor at the business school at the University of Oregon dealing with those same topics, that there are a lot of details here that we'll have to explain to people. And what those details will mean for their lives and lifestyles will not always be clear on the front end. We have another wave of public engagement that we will definitely need to do. Second, and again following on what Councilors Clark and Zelenka said, we have to communicate the abundant win-win opportunities. We should not just assume that those will emerge. We need to make a real effort as leaders in the community to explain those and have a chance for people to explore those. Sometimes they're trade-offs, but there are a lot of win-win opportunities. Finally, very quick comment on urban renewal. As part of a political campaign this year, I have been to a couple of thousand people's doors. And I've heard two things. A lot of people want us to make valuable, strategic investments in a vibrant downtown that will make the whole community more prosperous. And a lot of people don't totally trust our decision-making and our spending. And I'm hoping with urban renewal, we can hold ourselves to a new level of transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin Bloomgarden is next, followed by Lori Powell.
Hi, my name is Robin Bloomgarden, and I'm in Councilor Pryor's district. I already sent this to you all, but I haven't heard back from anybody, so I'm going to read it again. And so lately I have been hearing certain members of council and the mayor and other media cheering for Eugene's one-of-a-kind climate recovery ordinance passed last year. Thank you all for touting it and for your plans to officially adopt the science-based 350 carbon budget goals tonight, which didn't happen, but that's okay. It's very important that we use the latest available science for this plan, making the goals stronger now rather than needing to come back later to fix what is lacking later. Climate change is starting to overwhelm us already, and we need to include strong associated targets and benchmarks and make sure this work stands the test of time and is not just an aspirational goal, because we need real action now. Make sure that this is a broad, inclusive process to ensure we get a quality plan with as much community buy-in as possible. This is very important and cannot be relegated just to the city manager and staff alone. You all must oversee the process with input from citizens, government agencies, and scientists who have been involved with these issues for some time. Ensure that the Climate Energy Action Plan is updated as well to reflect the 350 goals, and please begin all of this as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Powell is next, followed by Linda Hale.
Good evening. My name is Lori Powell. I'm a member of 350 Eugene, and I live in Ward 1. I would like to thank all of you for today's unanimous yes vote during the Council's work session moving toward the adoption of the 350 carbon budget. I also want to express my appreciation for those of you who took the time to meet with some of us about this issue these past few weeks. Moving forward with the details of codifying, planning, and implementing the 350 budget, I would like to underscore Councilor Pryor, Surratt's, and Clark's point of the importance of a systematic, well-intentioned public outreach process to solicit input on exactly how we're going to pull this off. This will go a long way to building long-term engagement, public engagement, and buy-in with this issue, and reduce the risk of the public feeling that they've been forced into something they don't understand or agree with. I also want to stress Councilor Zelenka's, Brown's, and Surratt's point about the importance of specific timelines and benchmarks for rolling out the plan. And to the City Manager's office, we would like to see the public outreach process and detailed plan with timelines and benchmarks completed by the end of this year without postponements. As we all know, the local and the global are intertwined, and the laws of physics are not going to wait. Just ask the people of West Virginia who have endured historic flooding these past few weeks, or the myriad communities in California who, once again, are faced with living in an inferno the rest of the summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Hale is next, followed by David Ivan Piccioni.
Hello. My name is Linda Heil. Sorry, that's not a problem. And I live in Eugene in Ward 2. I may be a little late to the party with my comments, given what I heard earlier regarding revising the climate action goals and establishing timelines. But I'll make my comments anyway because I prepared them. So last fall, I was very happy to find myself a new resident of Eugene with its great beauty and terrific people and forward-looking values. Specifically, I am impressed with the Climate Recovery Ordinance passed in 2014. The ordinance specifies that detailed plans are required of the City Manager's Office so as to meet the specific goals. And the February 2015 and May 2016 internal progress reports do show modest declining trends in greenhouse gas emissions. However, as the recent carbon budget white paper shows, very deep decreases in carbon output are needed to make any real difference. The reports relating to the ordinance are confusing and difficult to understand, especially for a concerned layperson like myself, because of different yardsticks used for setting goals and measuring outcomes. Percent reduction from previous historic levels, percent decreases year over year, dollars saved, greenhouse gas emissions per city employee. These and other disparate measures are all used in various reports. No common denominator is employed that would allow for clear interpretation of carbon emission reduction over time. Using the science-based 350 atmospheric parts per million measure and adopting the budgeting methodology proposed in the carbon budget white paper would obviate this problem by translating all progress into the language of the 350 measure, allowing for meaningful comparison of data, goal setting, action planning, and tracking of results over time. In fact, the May 2016 progress report uses this measures, and its finding, together with the 350 carbon budget white paper, make clear that continuation of the recent modest reductions cannot achieve Eugene's goal of 350 parts per million emissions by 2100. Mankind has never faced a problem as serious as climate change. Fortunately, human resources for working to address the problem abound here in Eugene. Leadership was demonstrated by this council when the ordinance was passed. Leadership is needed again now for real progress to be made. I urge you to establish the 350 measure, to adopt the carbon budget, to allot adequate funding, and to assure accountability, a detailed plan, and results from the City Manager's Office. Thank you.
David Ivan Piccioni is next, followed by Zach Mulholland.
David Ivan Piccioni, I think Ward 7, Surratt. So I think this problem of climate change can be seen in a binary way as a problem of output and input. The output part is the carbon that we're putting into the air, and the input is what is going to be sucking that carbon back into the ground and fixing it. There's only one thing that does that efficiently, fixing it into the ground, and that is green living plants. There's nothing else that can do it as efficiently. There are chemical methods, but they produce other unwanted effects. Plants produce food that we can use, building materials, and they shade us from this hot weather that's going to be coming pretty soon. Okay, that's one part. And the output. Okay, you were talking about powering the cars with electric energy. Where's this energy? Where this energy is going to be coming from is the crucial part. If it's going to be coming from fossil fuels, it's going to be the same as just powering them with gasoline. It's just generating electricity in one place and turning it into generating generators in one place, generating electricity, powering the cars. It's the same as fueling them with gasoline. So the problem is, where do we get electricity the best way? The best way to get electricity is solar, wind, geothermal, and hydro. I mean, not hydro. It's actually the method that we're using, one of the methods that we're using now that's got some problems, like diverting rivers. But geothermal and the tidal waves. Those are the only things that we need to be focusing on for producing electricity. None of that has been discussed. We need to be building solar panels with the fossil fuels that we have left to power machinery. We need to build wind things to generate electricity, put them where they're possible to have a positive effect and not affect life, birds and stuff. So, yeah, biomass, not good. The forest needs to regrow. If we cut down the trees and we kill the little bits of dirt, the little bits of bark that's on the ground and the little bits of chips of wood, those are the ones that are going to become soil and where the forest is going to regrow out of from afterwards. So we need to keep that keep the forest very healthy because they're the main carbon sink for our entire world. Not just here, but in South America, all the forests around the world, in Africa, Asia, everywhere. So, hemp, yes, not just for smoking, but it's a very good building material. It grows 4 times quicker than wood and than trees, and in the same amount of time produces 4 times as much pulp.
Zach Mulholland is next, followed by Sue Saralupe.
Hello, Council. My name is Zach Mulholland. I live in Ward 1. Thank you for hearing us tonight. I'm here tonight on behalf of Millennials for Climate Justice. I want to thank you for your vote this evening, moving towards the official adoption of the 350 goals. And thank many of you for meeting with us individually or with a group over the last couple weeks. We very much appreciate your time and your thoughts on this issue. Wanted to reiterate, we've been out in the community talking to folks about the adoption of the 350 goal and the update to the Climate Energy Action Plan, and there's a lot of public support for that. So we've actually had over 700 folks sign signatures in support, and we'll be delivering those signatures to Council in the coming weeks. And so just know that while we have some folks here tonight, there's a lot more support out there in the community cheering you on for what you're doing and what you're taking action towards tonight. That being said, I think after tonight's vote, there's maybe 2 things that are still somewhat loose for how we're going to move forward, and these are what will the process look like in terms of public outreach and involvement, and then the second is how long will it take, and the ideal is that if we're expecting emission reductions next year, I would hope that the Council would be trying to get a plan back for implementation prior to the end of this year so that we can start moving towards those goals. In terms of what will the process look like, ensuring that that's going to include public engagement in the generation of ideas, in the drafting of the plan, as well as the review of that plan, and ideally, having an update to the plan based upon those public comments prior to that plan being brought back to Council. So hopefully, after the ad hoc committee meets, hopefully in the near future, there will be a better idea around what that process will look like and how long that it will take, and that will hopefully get clarified moving forward so that we can definitely have something back by the end of the year and has been done in the way that I think we all want it to. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Sue Saralupe is next, followed by Drix.
My name is Sue Saralupe. I live in George Brown's ward, and I thank him for his service. I am also the clinic manager of Occupy Medical. I've been coming here to report on Occupy Medical's progress as a downtown free clinic for the last 4.5 years. I appreciate City Council's support of our clinic. It has not taken much work to draw your attention to public health concerns. As a group tasked with balancing policy with fiscal responsibility, I have found Eugene City Council to be both compassionate and engaged. The lines between a healthy community and intelligent financial investment are short and heavily drawn. Occupy Medical does what it does as a public example of what universal health care, also known as single payer. Anyone that has done any research whatsoever on the topic knows that it is an easy issue to support. Simply looking at the $400 billion that universal health care will save us annually as a country is impossible to ignore. It is good for public health and good for businesses, both small and large. After all these years of struggle, I ask each of you in City Council individually, each of you who are on staff, and each of you in the audience to voice your support of universal health care. Health care is a human right. An unhealthy population is an unhealthy America. Without equal access to health care, we simply cannot survive as a society. I have told story after story of people who, with newly acquired access to health care, have been able to turn their lives around. If you want the population that you serve to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, you have to provide bootstraps. Medical, dental, and mental health help are those bootstraps. You have a voice. Now is the time to use it. Please, please join me and those with whom I serve as we make a stand for health care for all.
Thank you. Drix is up. Last one.
One up the rear. I'm going to sit down. Hello, hello. Boy, if I was, oh, thank you. That's what I'm going to say. Boy, this is nice. I wish I could talk like this all the time. Of course, it wouldn't be me. You notice, here's something I always want to bring up. As I rattle the mic, this is all intentional. But we're building a new city hall. It's beautiful right now with the sunlight on it. And when we have our chamber, it's going to be where we all meet. And so I always think of it after I've left, but it's important where we point the person behind the mic. Is it pointed at the council? Is it pointed at us? At everybody? Just somehow to tie it together before we draw it all in pen. But maybe reach to the longhouse and have it line up with north and south, or feng shui, or just something that's got a little magic. But the mic is important too. Yes, and it's that time of year again. I guess I could say that anytime, couldn't I? It's just a generic stamp. But, it's move-out month over in my neighborhood, the West University neighbors. It's not west of anybody. It's east of everybody, but we're west of the university. And this is the time of year when the students move out, and they just go. Time to go, throw the switch. So in our alleys and on our sidewalks are a lot of good material, and we've tried so hard as a neighborhood to have them donate to Goodwill and take out, but it's like throw the switch. It's summer. School's out for summer. So I'm just saying, with the rest of you, Gene, when you're out there, feel free to come by and help yourself. If it's sitting next to a dumpster, obviously it's trash. Be very careful where you reach, because there are needles left around. So don't grab anywhere you're not looking. But it's the future. Yeah, there's more of this coming. So, and also, that's being green as well, because a lot of this is still good stuff. They just don't want it then. But that's another topic. The Butte Run is going to be on the 4th of July, going through our neighborhood, which is very cool. I like to stand in front of my house on High Street. Oh, my name is Drix, and I live in an attic high above High Street, and where the run goes by. And I'm the one that's yelling 2 more blocks. Actually, it's not. It's like a mile and a half still till the end, but it's fun to watch people react. And, it gives them hope, and their eyebrows go up, and they, really? And then you wait and you time it, and you go, but they're big blocks. And then they laugh, and then the next people come in. So that's me doing that. And from where I look, it's a huge bell curve of our town. The real sprinters first, and then we've got everybody I know. I don't have to go anywhere. You all come by. And then at the end, we've got the wheelchairs and the huge-breasted ladies. And that's our town. And it's just wonderful. And I love being here. Also in our neighborhood, we have, I should look at the time.
Thanks.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you. And close the public hearing. And ask if there are any comments from council.
Anybody want to follow that? Anybody?
Anybody want to follow Drix?
That's what I just said, yeah.
Okay, then. All right. Item number 2, the consent calendar we took care of in our earlier meeting. So now we're on item number 3, which is a public hearing and action on the resolution adopting a supplemental budget. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This public hearing is
to provide the council the opportunity to hear from the public on the second FY16 supplemental budget for the City of Eugene. The supplemental budget recognizes new revenues and authorizes other unanticipated changes in legal appropriations. The council is asked to take action tonight in order to allow for necessary legal appropriations.
Thank you. Do we have anybody signed up for the public hearing? Nobody signed up, so we're in and we're out. And any questions or comments from council? Yes, Councilor Clark.
I think that's the first time we've had any kind of budget hearing in the last, I can't remember how many years. Okay, all right, just don't get excited. Where John Borofsky hasn't spoken, that's what I was going to say, but okay, sorry about that. We'll be right back. No,
Okay.
Let's have it.
All right. So then, I'm going to ask, does any councilor object to taking action tonight? Seeing none. Council President.
I move to adopt Resolution 5157, adopting a supplemental budget, making appropriations for the City of Eugene for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2015 and ending June 30th, 2016.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. None, and there's no nays, so it passes. We're item number 4, public hearing and action, a resolution adopting the budget. City Manager.
This public hearing is to provide the council the opportunity to hear from the public and John Borofsky on the FY17 budget.
Nice.
For the City of Eugene, as approved by the Budget Committee, the council is asked to take action tonight on the budget.
So I know you know the drill, so just come on up. Open that hearing officially.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is John Borofsky, Ward 3. Thank you for the opportunity to address you on the City of Eugene's proposed budget for FY17. For me, it would be terrible to have a $400+ million budget and a public hearing for it and nobody talk about it. I know that the Budget Committee has done a lot of hard work and has heard a lot of comments from the community, but this is the actual legal public hearing for this document, and I think it's important to point out a few things that you'll be voting on tonight. For me, I was pleased to see that the Budget Committee has recommended to fund the neighborhood outreach, not only for this year, but have it being an ongoing type of budget thing, as well as the sister cities being ongoing. Another positive thing that you'll be voting for in this budget is an increase to the Human Services Committee. The Budget Committee allocated an extra $200,000 above and beyond what the city manager had proposed, as well as $125,000 to be prioritized from the marginal beginning working capital. I don't know where the manager came up with such a stellar idea of using that extra money at the end of the year for one-time needs. It's just brilliant, and I don't know how else to describe that type of thinking. The other thing that I think is very positive in this budget going forward was the recommendation to increase the CAHOOTS funding. I think CAHOOTS is a very valuable part of our community, and it does very good work. The rest of the budget, I think that the staff has put together and the city manager has recommended is well thought out. You received an update recently about how our bond rating was just affirmed, that in the new bond sales we were given the AA1 bond rating, which is very good, and I think that speaks to the work that you folks do as a council, the staff does as their work each year, and the Budget Committee does in recommending it. So with that, I just want to thank you and hope that you will approve this budget.
Thank you. Now, Close the public hearing. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I made a joke a little bit ago there at the, expense of my friend, Mr. Broski, but I just want to say for those that are actually watching on TV and those that are here, after having served on the Budget Committee for 3 years, like several years, as a volunteer, going to meetings that last for hours and hours and hours to have discussions about what we should do, and then literally to come to every single public hearing that we've ever had on the budget for years. I appreciate my friend and his service to our community. He almost every time brings up something I didn't think about exactly that way and helps make the process better. And I don't know anyone who isn't on the staff of the city who knows more about the city budget than John does. And he's kind enough to come and share it with us. And so I appreciate that very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And I would just add that I appreciate you pulling out those things to share about the budget that people in the community can hear about it. Those are important things to mention and really speak to the goals that council's trying to achieve and the things we're trying to move forward. So thank you for that as well. All right. Council President?
Oh, you have to ask.
I have to ask. Does anybody object to us taking action tonight? See that? Okay. There you go.
I move to adopt Resolution 5158, electing to receive state revenue sharing funds pursuant to Section 221.770 of the Oregon Revised Statutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? None. All those in favor, please indicate. 6 in favor and none in opposition. There's another motion here.
I move to adopt Resolution 5159, certifying that the City of Eugene provides the municipal services required by the Oregon Revised Statutes, Section 221.760.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion. All those in favor, please indicate. 6 in favor and none in opposition. It passes. The next one.
I move to adopt Resolution 5160, adopting the budget, making appropriations, and determining, levying, and categorizing the annual ad valorem property tax levy for the City of Eugene for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2016 and ending June 30th, 2017.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate. 6 in favor and none in opposition. Passes. I'm going to adjourn the meeting of the Eugene City Council and convene a meeting of the Eugene Urban Renewal Agency. Public hearing and action. Okay. Manager, did you want to say anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Hi, John. Something like that.
Okay, so I'm going to open the public hearing, and I'm going to call John Borowski up.
Conveniently seated.
Never load.
Madam Mayor, City Council, and staff, this is speaking to the Urban Renewal District's proposed budget for FY17. I wish I could be as optimistic in my praises of this process as I was of the previous one. The Budget Committee recommended the city or the Urban Renewal District's budget for FY17 with no discussion. It was just a matter of rote. I think that the staff and the Budget Committee could have done a better job of educating not only the Budget Committee but the public what the Urban Renewal District is, what the Urban Renewal District does, how it spends its money. When I was a member of the Budget Committee, people would come to me and ask me questions about it, and it would be tough to answer. And I'm sure that the Budget Committee members now would have an even more difficult time answering those questions. There's a lot of good work that's done by the staff that is paid for out of the Urban Renewal Funds. Denny Broaden's part of his salary is paid out of that. Nan's part of her salary is paid out of that. I don't know if our Budget Committee is aware of how that works. And in conjunction with the discussions that you had as far as the plan amendments on the Urban Renewal Agency, I think that this year would have been an even more appropriate time for an expanded discussion of how the Urban Renewal Agency works with the Budget Committee. You're asking them to approve this budget, and you also are asked to approve it. I think that you as counselors are a little bit more aware than the Budget Committee, and the Budget Committee is a little bit more aware than the general public. But I see this as an opportunity to educate not only them, but the public as a whole as to how the Urban Renewal Agency is governed and how it is budgeted for. And I think that this year, by just asking for a vote to approve it, was a disservice to us as citizens. So with that, I will end
Thank you very much. I close the public hearing. Ask if there are any questions from council, comments. Yes, Councilor Cirilli.
Yeah, I really appreciate the public comment about the doing some more vetting on the Urban Renewal District budget with the Budget Committee. You know, I think we were very fortunate in some ways to not need many meetings to deliberate on the main budget itself. And hopefully we might be in a similar situation next year. And I might just suggest to finance staff to speak with the chair of the Budget Committee about setting some time aside to talk about the Urban Renewal District budget, how it interacts with the general fund, what some of those pieces are, and then maybe a report on how, if any money's been spent, how it's been spent in the year before. So thank you, John, for that suggestion.
Any councilor object to taking action tonight? Okay. All right. Put it out there.
I move to adopt Resolution 1079 of the Urban Renewal Agency of the City of Eugene, adopting the budget, making appropriations, and declaring the amount of tax to be certified for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2016 and ending June 30th, 2017.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Don't see any discussion. All those in favor, please indicate. 6 in favor and none in opposition. It passes. Thank you. I guess my only comment would be it seems appropriate after having voted on all this to say a special thank you to our staff, given that John's comments about the rating and the hard work that we've been through for, we're on the better end of the hard work now, but it's been a long haul with the recession and trying to keep everything moving. And so I just want to take this opportunity to thank you all throughout all of our departments for your hard work. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. And with that, everybody gets to go home.